A 15 session. Okay, so YouTube is live. So now that YouTube is live, let's go on. So what we're going to do today is that we're going to make sure that two people cannot book the same session, and every session booked is going to be limited based on the individual's availability. We're not going to focus on halls today because halls are pretty much. Let's see, should we do booking rooms? No, it's maybe we can just put the rooms, yeah. So we can do room times room names because the hospital has rooms. So we're going to include the rooms. So let me share my screen quickly while we just solve this knit in a big problem. So now when we were done on Wednesday, we had a peculiar problem. And the problem we had was that we could not close the agenda with a proper time. That is the appointment with the proper time frame because um, yes, so we closed it at the same time, which wasn't good. But what we would realize here now is that the appointment can take lesser time or it can take a longer time. So something we're going to do is called approximation. We're going to approximate hours when the hours are less than 1. So, and I think that calculation is going to be done. We're also going to put the proper end time, but let's look at how to deal with the situation where we approximate the number of hours. So if somebody spends more than a certain number of hours, we just make it a round figure. Okay. So first and foremost, I need to go to the formula field here. I need so this appointment price, I need to look at something here. Let's see. Duration. Let me check something. Let me put I'm put 55. Okay. It's not up to 1 hour. Okay. I think that we need to do something here. What we're going to do here now is we would say that if this mathematics okay, so say if all of that there is greater than 0 and all of that is less than 1, then the value should be 1.00. Otherwise, okay, otherwise it should be all that, yeah? Otherwise, it should be all this. So I would then put the all this there. So if this, I put it in bracketing, and this, put it in bracketing. So I put this here, I go to my second bracketing, I put this there, and mark down. Okay, great. So this should give us a different amount. Let me save it. Mm. This coming as 5,000. That's not good enough. I think the issue is not in the whole thing. The issue is in the issue is not in the whole thing. The issue is in this. Engage between the duration. Okay. Okay. Let me use this. Let me remove this. So what I want to do is to check that. Okay, so let's put on clients. Okay, this came out as 5,000, but that is because it is less. Or, or better still. Okay, let me make it less than. Still didn't work out. Okay, I want to calculate something here. Let me just be as accurate as I can. Because what is happening here now is that if a doctor spends less than 1 hour, or let's say an expert spends less than 1 hour, the expert may not get paid. And I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to change this formula temporarily, just so that I can see the value that comes out. I copied everything. I want to see the value that comes out of here. So start to end time. Divided by duration. What does that do? It didn't give a total. So there's a price quite alright, but what duration is working out. So, I want to understand something here. Service duration. So this is 5,000. Service duration. Okay. Hold on. Trying to make sense of this a little bit. So hours between the starts and the end time. Okay, it's not a number of hours. Okay, so I think it's hours that is the issue. I think it's the hours that is the issue. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to it's the hour time frame that's the issue here. So I'm going to check the hours between. So if the hours are less, then what we will do is to then use minutes. So if it's greater than zero, fine. Or better still, instead of using hours between, we would use minutes between, okay, and divide it by 60. Okay. So that way I think that we don't even need to put a condition here any longer. So we can take it out just for a moment. I'm trying to, okay. So that place where we have hours between, we're going to change it to minutes between, but we'll divide the value by 60 so that we can reward people correctly without disenfranchising them. Okay, hang on. Oh, I think that, okay, it's time between, but oh well. Okay. You uh, it's time between. Okay, then we will now need to convert it to minutes. Okay. Hang on. So let's see. Times 6. 1000 times 60. Okay. Okay. So it's to find the difference and just, so that's how it works. So divided by 1000 times 60. I think this should do it. Okay, great. So let's see the exact time between. No, we'll go to appointments and we'll see that there. Okay. Okay, so it seems not to be estimating properly. So what I'll do is I'm just supposed to find the difference and divide and multiply. So the difference here. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Okay. I'm trying to understand why. Okay, this is coming up to, So it's already okay. It's because I went to now. I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to. So this comes out as milliseconds. Milliseconds divided by this will give us 1 millisecond times 60. So, okay, so this is what will give us minutes rather. Okay, so this should do it. I'm not sure why this is still giving us the same value. Oh, this is even worse. Um, okay, I think that what we need to do is to this service duration, we need to divide it by divide this by 60 in itself. So that's the cost of 1 hour. Going to save this again. Okay, now this is not helping. I need to change this back to 1 minute just to change it to 1 minute. See what this does. Okay, so this is dividing this by 5,000 times. It's multiplying so hard. I'm not getting the maths properly. What I'll do is I'm going to come back to the basics. I won't cross multiply it. I'm just going to try to make the difference happen. Okay. So let's find the difference of 1 minute. Okay. So what's the difference of 1 minute? It's not even to, okay. Okay, good. So this is 60 minutes, yes? That was calculated here. So ordinarily, this is supposed to give us, so since we have gotten the value of 60 minutes from here, we will go ahead and try to we will go ahead and try to do this. So we will calculate the cost here of the number of minutes spent times For the duration, we're going to divide the duration by 60. Okay. So that it's going to be 60 times this duration, then give us this price, yeah? So if the duration for instance is 60 minutes, 60 minutes is a period of time. We have the duration. The duration is 1 as per 1 hour. Okay, so what this is going to mean is that when we divide this by 60, we somehow multiply it back by 60 and then multiply it by the price. So this is supposed to give us, hang on. Okay, so this is supposed to give us exactly 5,000 or exactly the price for 1 minute, I think. Okay, this is giving us 5,000. Great. So this is acting as if it's 1 hour, but yet it's 1 minute. So what we now need to do is to now divide everything. We still have to come out and get the divide this by 3,600. Good, because that's 60 times 60. So if we come here, that's 83.3. So if we come and say that this started from 14 to 15:25, that's exactly 5,000 naira for 1 hour. If this started from 14 to 15, but it was only 30 minutes, so let's say 15:05. No, that's not 30 minutes. That's 15. No, that's 14. 14:55. That would be 2,500. So we are very correct if we say that this is what happened. So this is how to pay somebody the exact price for their services. Okay. So this is basically trying to show us that we can have exact pricing for services. It's very important to factor this in whatever you are doing in this light. If you come and say you want to remove the end date, it's going to show 0. Or you want to choose, even if you choose another day, it's going to calculate accordingly and to keep multiplying. Okay. Now, we might want to limit the size of appointments. That is the amount of time that an appointment can take place to a maximum of such time frame. So what we're going to do now is to make sure that the appointments do not go beyond the stipulated number of hours. So we already know the number of hours in the service time. So we're going to limit the appointment settings to say, look, check. Okay, I think this is for appointment dates here. Mm, okay. So we'll say get appointment difference. Now this is if input the start time is not equal to null and input dot end time is not equal to null, then we'll now say get appointment date difference equals no hours difference. Hours difference. So input the start date time, hours between inputs dot end date time. I think it was hours that was used the other time. So hours between end date time. Okay, so this gives us the total. We'll now say that if get appointment hours difference is greater than, here we go. Okay, no, there's an issue here. Is it? Yes. So there's an edge case here. The edge case is that the hours by minutes it might be different. So we will then get date difference. Do what we did in the formula and say, look, end date minus start date. What this really does is that it gets the amount of time in milliseconds. So this will now be get time difference. Okay. Now get time difference. We now need to get the hour difference. Okay. Or get get minutes. Let us get minutes. So minutes will be get time difference divided by 1000. This gives us 1 minute. Now get hours will be get minutes divided by 60. Okay. Now what we're now going to say is this get hours. If get hours is greater than inputs dot service duration, okay, then it's not going to be an issue. So you then say appointment duration cannot exceed service duration. So it can be less, but it cannot be. And you can have a minimum too and say, so we'll now use minutes and say, okay, if get minutes is less than 1, okay, appointment duration cannot be less than a minute. Okay. One of the things that you can do is to say, yeah, you can limit it to 1 minute to say that the appointment duration cannot be less than a minute. But one of the things that we need to take note of here is that we need to take note of the fact that in services, there has to be a limitation too. Okay? So you need to be able to say, okay, check service duration. And we say this is validation too. If inputs the service duration is less than, now let's try and calculate what 1 minute really is in terms of percentage. Okay, so 1 minute over 60 minutes is how many percent? That's 1.66%. Yes, or 1.67. But in an ideal scenario, you want a situation where it is automatically calculated. You don't want to do this yourself. So what you are going to do here is to say get hour equals to input the service duration. Okay. Now you get minutes equals to get hour divided by 60. Okay. So another thing you can do is to put it like this. So get minutes equal to this. You then say that if input dot minute percentage. Okay. So 60 over 60 is 1. Yeah, so anything less than this is an issue. So 1 over 60 is 1 minute. So anything less than that is an issue. So what we will do now is to get evaluate minute percentage. Okay. Then we'll say, and this 60 here, we're going to do this 60 multiplied by input plus service duration. Okay. So what we're really doing is that we are saying that for this number of hours now, let's see. Hang on. Okay, hang on. So let's get a percentage. So 1 divided by 60 times 100 gives us this. Okay. So if what is specified okay, so less than okay. Yeah, so if what is specified is less than 1%, it means that if you specify 60, the duration you specify is based on the number of hours. So that means 1 is 1 hour. So how many percentage of 1 hour are we looking at? We're looking at so what we want to do is to try to make sure that there are no edge cases in services. So that when you specify a minimum number of hours, you are not dealing with, or better still, we can just work with averaging. What do I mean? we can say that since hours are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 15 minutes is 25% of an hour, okay? So it means that you cannot specify anything less than 0.25%. Good. So we'll just say if input dot service duration is less than 0.25, then we'll say service duration cannot be less than 15 minutes, 25% of an hour. So everybody should understand this, that you cannot have a service with us less than 15 minutes. Sorry, let's cancel this. Good. So this just helps us to limit the service duration to a fixed time frame. Okay. Now, what's interesting here is that in as much as service could try to take long or much longer, we also want to make sure that services do not take way too long. So what we're going to do is to limit services to 24 hours so that things are priced daily. So say input the service duration, if it is more than 24, then alert service duration cannot exceed 24 hours. This is not for services of days or something. Want something in days, you can calculate this differently. You can build a different app for that. But this is for the specific service industry that has this. If you're doing a surgery, you might want to, face the surgery. So you can't say that you are providing that particular surgery. You are going to go and eat or rest or something. So you can't be providing that surgery endlessly. So we're limiting service duration to 24 hours. Okay. So now that we've done this, if we go back to the appointment, we'll find out that we have limited the appointment accordingly, that it cannot exceed the service duration. Okay? So this is epically what can make this quite watertight. Now, we're not done with making things watertight here. We still need to come to try to tidy up this appointment. Let's say the person stayed in from 2 p.m. to 2:25 to 2:55. Okay, so there's a bit of a clash here. I'm just going to check it a bit. Service duration. Let me see. Service duration is 1. Service duration. Okay, so this gives you minutes. Okay, let me check something. Okay, so let's. Okay, this is 30. Okay, Okay, we have to work with. Oh, this is strange. Oh, this changes to seconds. Then from seconds, this changes to minutes. Then from minutes, this changes to hours. Okay. So now we need to remove our testing guy here. And it's going to save. So let's say now this is a completed appointment. It's ended. But we want to put an appointment beyond the service time frame. So the service duration is okay, no, it's not the service duration that we want to use. We want to use the appointment type duration, not the service duration. Service duration is okay, but we want the appointment, that's working hours total. So let's use the working hours total to make the adjustment accordingly. So we use appointment type and working hours total. Appointment type working hours. Great. Sorry, appointment type working hours. Or exceed the total working hours for, let me be dynamic. This is called concatenation. We use plus and then put something there. Now say input.appointment type, then appointment type name. So what this is going to do is that it's going to review the appointment type name here. Because appointment type is compulsory, the form will not submit until it is provided. So we have the leverage of working with the specific appointment type. So let's try and make this, let's make this 7 hours forward. So 7 plus 2 is 9 o'clock. So let's say I schedule this surgery and I claim that the surgery was completed by 21:55. I'm going to get an error. Appointment duration cannot exceed the total working hours for implementation session. You see that this cuts things in the bud so that people don't come and claim that they worked overtime and all of that. So that has put things in check. Okay. Again, the service duration in question, there's no way we can really try to control. We cannot mix service calculation with day calculations. We don't expect a service to take more than 1 day in its estimation. Since it's in hours, 24 hours should be the maximum for a specific service, calling it 1 day. So that means that the working hours is what we then use as a deterrent to say, okay, what is the difference? Again, the working hours difference should not exceed 1 day. Okay. So, and as a matter of fact, it's not possible because we've already done a validation here that controls what we put as working hours start time and working hours end time. So we don't even have that problem in appointment times. So now that appointments are tight fisted, and basically we can already see the number of hospitals that can use this app, you find that this app will then have a different meaning and even a different name very shortly. Maybe bookings manager, or service manager, really, since it's just for booking services and all that. Now, there's one thing we did not do when booking appointments. We did not choose the member of the organization that we wanted to book the appointment with. Okay? So we have our customers, yes, but we did not choose the member. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to try to include the member that is being booked, and then we're going to put a restriction to ensure that that member, when the member is booked for a session, another person does not book that member for a different session at that time. Okay? So, and basically, we're also going to make sure that the member has an appointment type. Okay? So we're going to add appointment type to the member's report or the member's form so that when you're adding a member, you're giving the member an appointment type. So that if you have an orthopedic doctor or you have like an endocrinologist or you have a cardiologist, those different kinds of people, you can actually point them to various schedules. So you can say this person is available on Tuesdays and Thursdays for bookings. So if you want to see this person, you book either on Tuesday or on Thursday. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to add appointments type. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to add appointment limits. The number of people who can book that person's appointment in a day. Okay, we're going to add that as well. But even speaking of that, really, let's see, in terms of appointment limits, we can add that. But you know that even the working hours, let's say the working hours is under appointment types. Yes, so that can also limit the number of people that book that person, because when you book a slot and you book different slots, you find out that you might not be able to get a slot if the time frame that you're booking exceeds the person's total working hours. Okay, so that's a point to note. So yeah, working hours will be checked. But two things we're going to do is so first things first, let's list them. First thing is to put I'm going to put it in the chat Q&A area so that we can see it clearly. So first thing that we're going to put is appointment type for members. Okay. Second thing that we're going to put is after appointment type for members, we're going to add the appointment limits for members too. Okay. Or should it be for members or for teams? Okay, to give teams a value, let's put appointment time for teams so that when we're modifying who is in what category, we can have people booking for different kinds of people. So let's make appointment type limits for teams. Okay. Then appointment type limit for teams. So we have we'll also put a member for appointments. Okay. Now, what are the two validations that we need not to forget? Validations. Number one is we're going to check real quick whether we're going to check the availability of the member at chosen time. Okay. Two is that we're going to check the we're going to check let's see. If an appointment was booked and there's a no-show, there's a no-show, I think that's, of course, I'm have to delete the appointment if there's a no-show. So I can push people backwards, okay? So people can be able to book the person, you know. Otherwise, the next person comes at the appointed time. So let's check availability of member at chosen time. We check for we're going to check for something else. So I'm going to get to this. Okay. Member availability at chosen time. Then we're also going to check availability of member by working hours. So the first is by chosen time and the second is by working hours. Now we're going to introduce something new now. First thing I will introduce is we're going to introduce space types and spaces. Yes. Then for these, we'll add them to add spaces to add spaces to appointments. In fact, we would also try to see if we can add space types to teams. Add space types to teams so that we can make sure that people don't get confused about the offices or the places that they're supposed to have their appointments, or where they are supposed to have their appointments, whether spaces or online or whatever it is, so that there's no mix-up. So we're adding spaces to appointments. We're going to validate. So we're going to check availability of spaces by chosen time, availability of spaces by we'll also filter spaces by we'll filter spaces by teams. Based on space types. Okay, so that is a plan and a little bit of adjustment to engineering just to make this app ready for a hospital to start using today. So now we will, because we have to make sure doctors, surgeons, and all that know where they have to be, and nobody gets confused about anything. So the people scheduling just need to sit by the system and put everything in motion, and everybody goes to do their homework. Okay, how about that? Okay, so let's. Okay. So let's introduce apartment types for members, apartment limits for members, can we? Shall we? So let's go apartment types for members. So I think we're done with this. So let's go to members here. So we have member team already. We're not going to draw a member apartment. Okay. No. The apartment type is for teams rather, not for members. So for team, draw apartment type name. Okay. So we'll call this team apartment type. And make it mandatory. Okay. Then we'll have apartment limits. Now, the natural number of appointment limits would be a maximum of, let's see, if an appointment can take a number of hours, let's say an appointment could take 24 hours, then we could limit number of appointments to 7 days. So say maximum of, but even at that, we should imagine that appointments are as low as 1 hour. Okay, duration. I'm going to check what time frame is being used in apartment types. But let's go on with this first. Team appointments limits. Now the default that we're going to do is to say by default you can have maybe 10 appointments. Let's put it this way. So let's go to the validation of appointment types. Let's see what we did here. Okay. It will not be more than 24 hours for an appointment's duration. So I did something wrong here just now. Okay, I just added the stuff. I haven't done anything about it. So I'm going to try to do something about it here. For add team, I'm going to say that I'm going to go to team now from here, and I would say that so the maximum number of appointments for a duration of 24 hours should be. Imagine the number, so it should be 24 really. It should be 24, but what I will do is, since the app was working based on 15 minutes, I will then say 24 times 4, meaning that the least size of an appointment is 15 minutes. So if the appointment is as low as 15 minutes, then you can have a maximum of 96 appointments. So we would now say validate appointment total, appointment count or limit. Call it upper limit or limit. Let's call it limit. So that it's either 1 or 96. So we'll say if input dot team appointment limit is less than 1, then you say appointment limit for the team. Appointment limit for, let's do concatenation now. Input.team name must be greater than, cannot be less than 1. Okay, then we take this now and say if team appointment is greater than 96, appointment limit for the cannot be greater than 96. Good. So this being said, we have our appointment limits set up. Okay. So that means that anybody in that team now cannot have more than such number of appointments in one day. Okay? So you have to wait till the next day to have such appointments. So you can have appointments continuously, but in one day you can have more than 96 appointments. Okay? I don't think that's ever going to happen, but I mean, if somebody's just trying to book, you can have more than that. So that will be all booked. Okay, so let's go ahead. So now that we set up appointment types and limits, I think this is fine. Now, what we're going to do here is you will not be able to change the appointment type for a team where the team member has an appointment. But in order for us to do that, we have to do something else. We have to make sure that we tidy up our ideas for appointments accordingly. So let's finish here. Check the team member appointment. Before enabling appointment type and limit in Teams. Okay, so I had to just put that there. So let's keep going. So we put the appointment type and limits. Now we need to put member in appointments, but we also need to put spaces as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a new object for spaces. But while we're thinking of adding a new object, let's try to do a little cleanup on the new fields that we added in Teams. So we go to Teams here. And this has appointment type. So we have appointment type here. We have appointment limits. We don't put total because it's not one person. There are several limits. So we have appointment type here. Of appointment limits. So now this one now we can change this to appointment type. Okay. So come here and say appointment type. Appointment limits. Okay, great. So we're taking this up here, appointment type, appointment limits. Before we put, or maybe we should bring this down. I think this is more tidy at the bottom. I just noticed it here. Okay, so let's yeah, so we'll adjust this a bit. Okay, so for team description, I don't think the team description is compulsory. It's not compulsory, so I think we should take team description out of here. Okay. Then we have appointment type. Okay. Okay, great. Good and fine. Then we have we are going to adjust the team form a little bit. Appointment type, appointment limits. Okay, great. So now that this is sorted out, we now need to introduce a new object called spaces. And spaces will be introduced in services. Or let's see, spaces. introduced in. Let's see. What's our plan for spaces? And space types and spaces. Okay. Okay. Let's do space types. Okay. Spaces. I think we should do this under these types of spaces. Okay. Let's put it here. We'll do space type spaces and then we're putting the spaces under spaces. The space types. After 10 spaces. Okay. So we'll have space types before teams. And we'll have spaces. Okay. That's what we're going to do. So let's add space types. So we'll say add space type. We'll do our usual thing here. Remove this, put this here. This of this space type. Okay. Okay. I think this is another. In terms of this three. So here we have space type ID. Space type name. Then we have space type description. Okay. So we'll put this in here. Okay. We'll remove all the certificates here. Okay. Here we have add time, modify time. Here we have add time, and this is modify time. So space matter is sorted out. Okay, so this is all done. Now let's go to the menu. So space types and spaces should be under space types is before teams, okay? And spaces. Let's just finish the space type here. Okay, that's fine. So we're going to create spaces at some point. And we're going to differ in some ways that we have been thinking in the past, which certain people might not agree with, but it's the way I think we can do this. So space types will be used in teams so that you can understand every team can have space types allocated to them. Okay? So we're going to add it to teams. So on the team here, we'll use a lookup field and refer to space types. So space type name here. Then this is team. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake here. I have to fix this again. It's not only one space that a team might use. A team can use several spaces. So let's go to space types again. Then multi-select, that's what I missed. So team space types. Then let's space type ID here. Great. So here we have add space type. In this apartment type 2, we need to also have add apartment type. Add team apartment type. This is add team space type. So what we're trying to do is to make sure that those who can go to the ward can go to the ward. Those who can handle outpatient can handle outpatient. You know, there's no argument about who can go to which space by doing this. So this controls that. Okay. So for this too, we're going to adjust a few things. Team space types. Okay. All space types here. We're going to take this up. Team space types. We'll come here. Okay. All right, so we have space types sorted out. Now we need to also have spaces. And spaces are normally used under appointments. Okay. So we're going to have spaces after space types. My natural instinct is to take it to members, but I also don't want end users looking for it and not finding it. So we're going to now have spaces. Okay. So for each space, we're going to have a space type. So we have add space. Okay. We'll clean this up quickly. Then we will update this here. Okay. So now we have space ID. Space name. Without duplicates. Then we have space description. Okay. So we have space description here. So this is fine. Space is done here. We're going to move that back to where it should be, where teams are. So let me quickly fix this. Remove duplicates, remove duplicates, duplicate and multiply it. Remove duplicates. Very great. Now in this one, we're going to have our usual added time and modified time. Okay. Now there's one thing we did not add to this space table. That it's very interesting that we did not even remember to add that, which is the space type itself. For this time, it's a single field. Okay. Okay. So now let's try to do add new entry, add space type. Okay. And wow, space type ID, space type. Good. So let's go to all space types here now. Space type here. We'll link it to all space types. But remember, this is quick view, so we don't need to put description in here too. Okay, and detail view, we're going to have space type here, space name. Then we have added time, added user, modified time, modified user. Okay. So that spells out that effectively. And I think we have cleaned this up here. So let's try to adjust the menu now. We're taking spaces to where space types are. I'm checking this up. Okay. space name, space name, space name. Okay. And now, okay. So this has explained. Oh no no no! We have to come to the menu here. Okay. So bring on space here. Okay. Species and space. Then we have teams and that. Okay, great. So we go to people. We have space types. We have spaces. We have teams now. With space type, apartment type, and apartment limits. Okay. Then now that we've put all of this here, we're going to add space types to apartments. We also add members to apartments. So let's go now and add them accordingly. Okay. So apartment with who? So member we have sister apartment two. Now let's have the member. Team contains a okay. Team contains contains the this one, so, okay. Let's put member here. Just a moment, okay. So we'll choose a member now. Member ID. Editor. Okay. Add appointment to. Okay. Now for the member to show, this member, we are going to check the members team and we'll make sure that the apartment types the apartment type of people in the team, yes. Apartment type of people in the team equals the input dot apartment type. Good. So that means you only need to select the members whose team apartment types are equal to this apartment type. Okay. Then we also have spaces. Okay. So we're going to have space. Okay. And this is the space name for now. Now, this member is what is used to determine the space. So we're going to choose space. We're going to put space ID space name. Here we'll have the opportunity to add space. I'll make this mandatory. Now we'll now say that this space is going to work only if oh, I see. Okay, so we have to put the space up. Then we now have to go to the team now. And say, okay, and if the team space types okay, there's a thing. Okay, so we have to create a field that is a string. I'm going on that team real quick. On that team. That would help us to check the existence of space types here. It's a simple function and formula field that will not be visible. We'll just say space types. Change space types list. We're not making it visible. And you see, this was an issue. Okay, good. So, but I think that what I was trying to prevent wasn't really. Let me confirm. I wanted to filter and say, okay, and it's not saying contents, but if I say lists, it will say contents. Good. So contains input the space dot space type. Okay, now this is supposed to be turned to string. So this is the condition under which you'll be able to select the member. So what this now tells us is that for us to make sure that this doesn't break at any point in time, we have to make sure that the moment there's an appointment for appointment type, okay, the moment there's an appointment for appointment type, and there's an appointment for space, the respective places in the team, and yeah, the place in the team should be disabled. So anywhere that there's an appointment, once there's an appointment for appointment type or space, they should be disabled with the respective team. So what we're going to do is on the load of the form of each of them, we will not allow changing the values. We will only allow deleting the um, actual values. And the reason the actual values will only be allowed if the respective index items are not selected. So we'll go straight there now and go to team and then load on the phone, prevents change of linked fields. Okay. So then say get appointments. Okay. So add appointments. If appointment type equals to input dot team appointment type. Okay. Get team appointments. Now I'll have get team spaces. So say add space. No, add appointments still. Or get team this appointment types. Team spaces. Or get appointments. No. Appointment types and appointments. Now get spaces and appointments. So we'll then say space, if space is equal to, or if let me see. Okay, hang on. If you say they allow 10 spaces at this, means that we will have to put a limit to the team spaces. So get space lists will be equal to input dot team space types. Okay. Now if get space list is greater than 0, then for each space in get space list, okay, we will then say that check. Okay, we'll then say get space in appointments. We're going to add appointments space equals space. Okay. Let's call this listed space so that it's not the same as, so it's equal to listed space. Then we're going to put like an error checker to say, okay, found spaces equals false. So if get space in appointments dot count is greater than 0, found spaces equals true. So we can then say that if get appointment and types of appointments like this, the count is greater than 0, it will now disable what? Disable team appointments type. Then if found spaces equals true, it will disable team space types. Or if, oh, you see, if found oh, it's even space types rather. Okay, I know what to do. So this is found space types, okay? Found space types, found space types. Okay. Space types list. Now what we're going to do here is to say if space does space type equals to listed space type. Okay. Then get space type from appointments. From space types. Let's see if there's anything that will break here. I think there is. So here. Okay, good. Okay, so we're very good here. So this will disable anything like that so that you remove all such appointments before changing such space types. And basically, it means that we also have to limit the number of space types out. So anytime you find yourself looping, build a limit so that your application doesn't tear apart when people use it. So for instance, now you can say set space type limits. Space type limit. And you can say, okay, for a particular team, you want to limit them to, say, 10 spaces just for visibility. So if inputs dot team space types dot size is greater than 10. Okay, I'll just say team space types cannot be more than 10. Okay, and we cancel submit. So this is going to use the size of the list to control the number of space types that can be added. Okay. So that being said, we have successfully added those two fields in appointments. Well, let's check that we've done all the validation needed. We've added space types to spaces, we've added space types to teams, spaces to appointments. Now we have a few last things to do. We need to check the availability of spaces by the chosen time. So how are we going to do this? This is a very technical thing to check for. So the availability of spaces by the chosen time. So what we just have to do is to make sure that we put this in our appointment validation, created or edited. Now we'll now check space availability. Okay. Now, one thing we have to do here is to be sure that the date that we're booking that space is when the space is available. Yes. So we're checking space availability. So let's go. We're now going to say what is the space that we're referring to that we need to know is available. So we will get appointment for space that is not the space that is not for this appointment. So we'll say add appointments where ID is not equal to this particular ID. Okay. And the space is equal to this particular space. Okay. So we've identified the space now that is for our other appointments that are not in this one. Then we now want to check something. We now want to say when the appointment start date and time is greater than, okay, it's less than this one, this appointment start date and time, and the okay, the service duration. Let's hope that this can work. So, and the service that service duration is like 1 hour now. Let me check something. And start date and time. No. Okay. Okay, that's for one. So service duration. Let's use start date time. Something I want to do now. Dot add hours. Oh no, not hours now. Add add minutes. Service duration divided by 60. Okay. Against the hour time frame. So divided by 60, add minutes. So if this time frame if our time is, it is less than our time, and this is greater than our start time. Less than our time. That means that it's after our time, and it is And the end of the appointment is yes, is if the start time of this appointment is less than our start time, that means that we are starting after it. But if the time this appointment will end is greater than our start time, plus the time is greater than our start time. If it's greater than our start time, then there's going to be a problem. So this is the first check. The second check is yeah, because everybody's supposed to be given their own time frame. Whether they finish before time, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that they are given their time frame. So if the start time is afterwards, okay, this is the first scenario. Now the second scenario is if the start time of the appointment, the start date and time of the appointment is greater than our input start date and time, and the duration check, that is when you do an expression here, and this duration check so if it's greater than our start date and time, and this duration check now is this one is less than our own when we add our own. Okay, this duration check is yes, it's less than when we add our own. Then there's a problem. Okay. So we will then say that this space is not available. So say if get space dot count is greater than 0, so since space is compulsory, we will now say input space not available for appointments at the selected start time. Okay. We're putting our plus here. Okay. And save. Okay. Expression is not allowed inside criteria. Okay. So, you see, this is one of the most complicated things in scripting. And it's 2 minutes to the end of the time. And this is a very huge challenge. And one of the intentions of this program is for us to challenge ourselves. You can see what is in front of your screen. Take a snapshot of this and try to solve this problem. Now, why I walked you through the solution like this is because if you do some evaluation, This is supposed to work, but this is now not working in table selection. So in our class on Monday, we're going to try to break down the solution to this problem in ways you may have never seen before. Trust me, I've solved this problem using consolidated reminders, date and time, and all of that. So this is a piece of cake, but I decided to walk through this. So this error that you're seeing here, I want us to take it as a challenge to solve it. Figure out what to do if an expression is not allowed in the left side of a criteria. That will be all for today. And I hope that you spend this weekend learning and breaking down these principles as you experience Zero Deluge. Thanks and have a great